Alrighty, folks, you are in for a treat today. A truly wealth-building opportunity will be discussed today. We're going to talk about how mom and pop investors, yes, you and I, can learn from Adrian Hernandez's superpower. Adrian Hernandez's superpower is attracting off-market opportunities. And folks, if you don't know what that is, that means there's no competition, or at least very little competition. So, Adrian, your superpower is off-market. You have a large marketing budget. You're doing dozens, double-digit deals a month. But I'm going to ask you to kind of simplify it, and we're going to probably treat this as a 2 or 3 part series. But why don't we tease or whet the appetite on how someone like me, no team, no VAs, traditional MLS buyer, can stick their toe in the water and start thinking about off-market opportunities, because the opportunities are coming.
Yes, and they are here, and it also cuts the wholesaler, cuts the agent out of the transaction, right? So you, the investor, is able to get a better deal, right? We all know the deal is made. It's all based on how you buy the deal, right?
It's always the buy. It's always the buy.
Always the buy. So if I can help you guys with an additional 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in savings right now, that would be huge, right?
I would like that. Yes, please.
And I'm going to simplify it for you also, because one thing, we can go on YouTube and watch a bunch of these videos, but they're also super complicated, right? Before we got on, Zuber's like, don't hit them with the 50 VAs, right? Because it's very important that we don't, because you can easily get overwhelmed. And from what I've experienced, we end up taking no action. So let's put this down into just really small bite steps. The first thing that I believe we all need to understand is the conversation, in essence, right? The whole title here is the conversation. What to say and how to say it. That's step number one, because I can show you guys 1,000 different ways to generate business.
Well, you know what? Let's actually step back. Let's go something before the conversation, because again, I want to talk about off-market versus on-market, because I'm not even sure all investors understand that, right? On-market.
All right. You want to break it down?
Yeah. So on-market is, obviously there's a listing agreement signed, right? And then that listing gets put in the MLS, which then feeds Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, yada, 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 right? So that's on-market. Off-market is, a seller. It's actually, I shouldn't say a seller. It's an owner who at least hasn't taken any direct action to say, hey, I want to sell. But they could have lots of reasons why, right? I know there are people who look for code enforcement, look for, tired landlords. They look for estates. There's all of these things that happen around real estate that might indicate an interest to sell. So, talk about, because again, there's death, taxes, and divorce, right? There's always reasons that there will be, forced sales.
Right. Yeah. So with the off-market categories, I mean, that list can go on, and I can even, what would be better is on the next video, I have an actual slide that I've created of every single different thing you can do, pinpoints that you can look for off-market deals. You start with different categories, as Zuber mentioned, from pre-foreclosures. You can look at divorces. You can look at, going straight to the auctions, the auction and buying the deal, right? Going to the probate attorney and buying the deal. We're actually with conversation with Gino Blafari last night, talking about probate attorneys and what a big play they make in the real estate investor realm, right? When they're getting deals, because now you're going directly through the attorney and they're directly dealing with the seller. Now, with off market, you got to understand, you're not dealing with the agent. You're not dealing with the wholesaler. You're dealing directly with the owner, which is, I have found, more beneficial, because if you can explain your story, hey, I'm an investor, right? I actually have a job. I've been saving. This is going to be the first property I'm buying. They like that. I've gotten great responses from that. In fact, they will take your offer over an agent's offer who's going to sell it to someone like you, because they're already dealing with that person. Right. So there's so many good positive attributes to it. Does it take a little bit of extra time? Yes, but you save some money and you connect with the homeowner on a different way.
Yeah, and then so once you understand there's the additional motivations, there are tools and whatnot out there, which we'll get into in a subsequent video. And then the next thing, what I think about, going direct to sellers, how do you choose to contact them? You could walk up and knock on their door. There's these
Right.
people, they call it door knocking. You could call them, right?
Right.
You can somehow skip trace or find their phone number. You could text them, or you could send them mail, right? You're basically trying to reach out, say, hey, I'm over here.
Right.
I like your house for this or that reason. Here's my story, to your point.
Right.
Right. That's kind of the next step.
Right. And that's all the outbound game, right? Because when you look at now, we're generating leads, right? Because we talked about off market and on market. Now let's go to the next sector, which is just off market deals. Now, in off market deals, to get those leads, as Zuber mentioned, you can do outbound, which is door knocking, cold calling, mailers, texting, right? Be careful with texting right now.
Yeah.
A disclaimer, right? We're not telling you to do it. These are things you could do. And then the inbound is doing things, and actually mailers would be more inbound, right? Because they're calling you, right? So that would be more of an inbound.
Okay.
An inbound lead would be like billboard ads. You guys have seen billboards. You've heard radio
TV
ads.
Yeah, TV ads.
You've heard TV ads, right? Anything that gets your phone to ring. Now, understand that inbound cost a lot more than outbound, right? A lot more. Outbound, you can, and I want to talk about this real fast. With outbound, you guys will notice the amount of, and I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you guys from a numbers perspective real fast. Okay, let's just say that you weren't buying these deals and you were selling these deals. For an example, just put an example, you were selling these deals. On an outbound perspective, the amount of money you spend in outbound to the return that you get is much, much higher. The return, the X, okay, the X here. So if I spend 10 grand, I'll get back 100 grand on outbound, for an example. Right? Where on inbound, if I spend 10 grand, I may only get back 20 grand. The X's aren't as big in inbound as they are in outbound. So and the reason why I'm saying that, guys, is because anybody that's starting who doesn't have a large budget, you're like, Adrian, I'm listening to Zuber. I barely got enough money to save up to buy the house. And now you want me to go spend money in marketing, right? And that's why I'm talking about this, because outbound, it doesn't cost a lot of money to do outbound. Right? Yeah. A lot of outbound is just sweat equity. Can you go to a neighborhood? Can you knock on a door? Can you drive for dollars? We didn't get into inbound till like 7 years into the business, right? Everything was built on driving for dollars, cold calling, door knocking, doing the hustle, right? Because it's the hustle that gets you there.
Yeah, it's funny you bring this up because I've only done one mailer, one reach out, and here's the story of what happened. So this is, gosh, when was this? This might have been 2000. I'll call it 2018. I think it was right after I retired. This particular townhouse community, HOA, was in trouble, behind on its bills, this, that, the other thing. It was a pretty nasty environment. And it was so bad that you could not get a loan in this HOA anymore because there were so many issues, right? So no bank could lend on there. Wow. So I found this. It happened to be in my buy box. It also happened that my property manager became I want to call it trustee. It's probably not the right word, but basically got put in charge of the HOA. So I talked to the owner and he goes, basically says, Mike, it's a complete cluster. This is going to be painful. It's going to take, it's going to take us 18 months to get out of this. But, everything this guy does works out.
Right.
And I said, you're confident you'll get this through? He goes, yeah, we'll fix this, come hell or high water. I'm like, cool. So what did I do when I had that information? I sent mailers out to every single owner of those townhouses, because again, this is like peak stress. Right. They can't get loans on it. They can't do these things. That's the other. Right. So I sent loans out, and I had two people call me, and one of them was just, a waste of a call, but the other one's like, I've had enough. Right. This is the final straw. And to give you some numbers, the last loan that closed in this community, and they're all 2-bedroom, 1-bath. They're all like identical floor plans, same square footage, everything.
Right.
Was 120 grand. I picked this up for 28 grand cash because you can't get a loan.
What?
Right? 28 grand. Yeah, because you couldn't get a loan. The guy wanted out. He started at 35. Wow. I started at 25, and I didn't pick 25. He named the number first, so I went lower.
Right.
And so it was 28 grand. I think I ended up putting 12 in because it was wrecked. The guy was just done. So I was into the deal for 40.
Wow.
It was a painful year. There was a year, I think I had 2 turnovers in a year. There was a lot of crap going on there, but again, I don't deal with it. I have a property manager. Right. Now that building's worth almost 200 grand, completely lendable, right in the center of town, great property. But I bring this up because again, mom and pop, I'm not Adrian. I just found an opportunity. I paid somebody to get me a list, which, oh, by the way, you can go to Title. You don't have to use PropStream or other stuff. You can go to Title.
They'll do it for free.
Yeah, they'll do it for free, or maybe they'll charge you 7 cents or 7, whatever. It'll be cheap.
Right.
And they'll get it to you. And then I just sent a mailer to everyone and got 2 phone calls in one deal. I only did it one time.
Huge.
I probably should have done it 2 or 3 times.
Yep. And so you guys, to Zuber's point, you don't need to do this on a big scale, right? I love your story because I have a guy, a really good friend of mine in San Bernardino. All he does is buy rentals in San Bernardino. So when he buys a house in the neighborhood, he'll send mailers and he'll go door knock that little neighborhood and say, hey, I bought a house. I'm looking to buy another one. He doesn't go very far. He stays in a little half a mile radius, right? Doesn't go far at all. And he just circles that neighborhood. He's not sending out thousands. It's a couple of $100 that he's paying a month in mailers, right?
Exactly.
It's not a lot of money, but he's taking down one door at a time, guys. And so this doesn't need to be big. Right? It doesn't need to be. It can be just, as Zuber is saying, a neighborhood, right? A zone. You see an opportunity. Yeah. Let's go after that.
And just be authentic, right? Be authentic. Huge. And and just say, hey, if I was your boy, I would say, hey, I just closed at 123, Main Street. I bought it for X because they're going to look it up on Zillow anyway. So why hide the number?
Right.
And go, I'm looking to do another one. If you ever have interest, call me.
Yeah.
I love your boy. I think that's great advice. I wish more mom and pop investors did that.
And he tells me all the time, dude, you know how many times they're like, oh yeah, I'm talking to such and such company. I'm talking to such and such realtor, but we know they're going to end up going to you anyway. So we feel much more comfortable. And not only that, do you know how many seller finance deals he's gotten just by them meeting him, seeing his family? They're like, dude, I want to help.
Yes. Let me help you. Right. It's that's where seller financing is the secret to this business, but it comes with relationships.
100%.
People hear seller financing, they get attracted to sub 2, whatever, but they've got to trust you. They got to like you.
Yep.
You got to build that rapport. It's not a one call close. I am very good. I have never done a seller financing deal with less than 3 face-to-face meetings.
Oh yeah. Easy. And if you're doing it right away, you should probably be worried.
Yeah, you'll probably be. There's something you don't know.
Check to see if they're on title, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And to your point, that's why I started off the call with saying, know what to say and how to say it, because we can give you can go send mailers and door knock a neighborhood, but when they respond saying, yes, I want to sell, can you respond in a way that makes them feel comfortable, right? And so just the basic conversation in real estate is so important, right? It's so important because I've seen great people walk into our office, but the moment they get on the phone with the seller, it goes all out the window. And so you got to practice.
You got to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, when in doubt, folks, just be authentic.
Exactly.
Just be authentic. My name is, Mike. I'm a real estate investor. I haven't done a deal yet, or I've got one deal at blah, blah, blah street, and I'd like to do another.
Yep.
Be authentic. Don't what I would tell a mom and pop investor, and this is probably not something if you're making 100 dials a day every day, this is probably not for you, but lean into the fact that, this is part-time for you, right? This is not like you have a day job, and lean into your strengths, lean into what makes you different.
Yep. And you guys, the script is super easy, right? When you're talking to somebody, don't overcomplicate it at all. That is the biggest thing. Is the moment you start overcomplicating the conversation, that's when things go sideways. Like as Zuber says, just be authentic, right? Very simple. Hey, my name is Adrian. I just bought 123 Banana Street. I'm your new neighbor. I noticed you have a beautiful home here. I bought, I paid $220 for the house. I was wanting to know, you guys thought about selling? Would you be open to an offer at all?
Yeah, and you know what? This is something I might even do. I'd probably try this. Actually, you know what? You're the professional. You let me know if this works. So you're on the phone with that seller. Oh, by the way, I'm Michael. I just bought the street 1234 Banana Street. You've been in the area for a long time. I'm curious if any of your neighbors might be interested in selling.
Huge. Yep. I always ask that at the end when they tell me yes or no, right before I'm getting off the phone. I'm always like, hey, just curious, who do you know in the neighborhood that is looking to buy or sell a home? Any family or friends? Right.
Yeah, because that takes the pressure off. Sometimes people feel attacked when you ask about them.
Right.
But if you go like, hey, you've been I see that you've been in the neighborhood for 12 years. I'm curious. Anybody else around you might be interested in selling?
I like that opening, actually. I like that as an opening, not a secondary.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets them curious.
I might try that. Yeah, I might try that. But
yeah.
So what else should we tell people?
Don't go get a fancy script online and memorize it. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. And this is why I say that, guys. If you're going to get a script online, use it as a guideline. Do not use it as the rule, right? I see way too many, I hear way too many scripty people. And you guys, let me help you with something. People are not dumb. They know you're reading a script, and authenticity sells way more. So I even say, hey, I'm being real. This is one human coming to another. I don't have no script in front of me. I'm not like these guys that are learning from a podcast. This is actually what I do. I actually closed on that property. Right. Yeah. And that really separates yourself from everybody else, because they'll start laughing and be like, yeah. And I'll be like, they all sound the same. They all sound the same, don't they? And they start laughing. They're like, they really do. I'm like, yeah, I know their coach anyways. And then I move on, right?
I love it.
And they start laughing and they feel better with you.
Yeah. No, it's all about rapport. That's the big thing about this. Everybody dreams of the one call close. I would tell you, to your earlier point, be nervous of the one call close. There might be something sneaky under the surface.
Yeah, we used to do those. We don't do them anymore. When someone calls and they're like, oh, hey, give me an offer. We're like, we don't make offers. We buy houses. So when can we come to your house? Well, today or tomorrow work for us, best for you. Right. Well, we want an offer. Well, okay, call, we're call someone else. We're not going to, because if you're giving an offer right off the bat, you've already lost. You don't even know what's going on with the house or them, let alone give an offer. And what we found is majority of those people aren't even that serious. They're just calling the call because they want to know if we can match the Zillow number.
They're going to shop it. Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the day, your superpower is attracting off-market leads, off-market opportunities. I want the mom and pop investors to realize that they can do it too. It's not that hard.
Yep.
It's not that expensive. You don't need a lot of things. You don't need a billboard. You don't need teams of VAs. Just get a buy box. I did a mailer to one community about, I think there's 200, maybe 212. I think I remember 212 letters, went out and got a deal. And I'm still happy with it today.
I love that. Yeah. You guys, that's for all of you, just really, start small. Look at this as not something where it's only for those that, are running wholesalers or big businesses or agents. And really understand the different legs to this, because let's just say you don't buy the deal. You have an agent relationship. You have another relationship. If that deal doesn't work for you, you can always refer that deal to the agent. Call the agent up. Hey, I talked to a homeowner. I was going to try to buy it, but they want to list it. Here's a referral. And now you're getting, a couple of $1,000s to pay for your marketing just off of a referral that you're sending to an agent in the neighborhood.
There you go, folks. Keep finding ways to monetize leads is very important. I love that idea of getting a referral for a listing. Adrian, where can people find you?
Guys, Instagram at Adrian Hernandez, and on YouTube, Adrian.Hernandez. Zuber, I'm making a big push. I'm actually going all YouTube, no more IG. You guys can still check out the stories. I'll be sharing stories, but moving all the content to YouTube.
Oh, I love it. Adrian.Hernandez. And again, folks, remember, next week we will take a look at the PowerPoint for all the different ways. We're going to make this a series. We're going to do 2, 3, 4 of these because we want to help you. 2025 is the year of the investor. Home buyers scared, sellers up. Let's find motivated sellers and make some money. Thanks, buddy.
Let's go. Subscribe.